Good morning and welcome home. I feel like a little kid this morning about to say my first Mass. It is so wonderful having live people here. I'm so used to saying Mass to the iPad to an empty church. So it is good to have you here this morning. And we will continue to video the first Mass each day for the sake of those who are not quite ready to come back to church yet. And also we've decided to continue that even after the pandemic is over for those who are homebound that won't have to watch a television Mass but can be watching the Mass right here from our parish. So some good came from all of the negative things we've experienced as well. We've learned a lot, but it is good that you're here. I know one of the directors said to encourage people if they're over 65 to take their time coming back. But I called Monsignor the other day and asked him if he wanted to say the 8. He's 93 and jumped at the opportunity. So I know there are many, we're certainly not going to keep anybody away from church because of their age. So it's good to have you. Mass will be a little different, but hopefully the most important thing is we're going to be able to receive the Eucharist today. I confess to Almighty God and to you, my brothers and sisters, that I have greatly sinned in my thoughts and in my words, in what I have done and what I have failed to do, through my fault, through my most grievous fault. Therefore, I ask Blessed Mary, the Virgin, all the angels and saints, and you, my brothers and sisters, to pray for me to the Lord our God. May Almighty God have mercy on us, forgive us our sins, and bring us to everlasting life. Amen. Let us pray. The prayers that I'm using for today's Mass are actually the prayers for the Feast of the Body and Blood of Christ, which was yesterday, but I thought it would be fitting to use those prayers as we have the Eucharist for the first time, and as you know, over 3 months. O God, who in this wonderful sacrament of the Eucharist has left us a memorial of your passion, grant us, we pray, so to revere the sacred mysteries of your body and blood, that we may always experience in ourselves the fruits of your redemption. And we ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. The first reading is taken from the book of Kings. Naboth, the Jebusite, had a vineyard in Jezreel, next to the place of Ahab, king of Samaria. Ahab said to Naboth, "Give me your vineyard to be my vegetable garden, since it is close by and next to my house. I will give you a better vineyard in exchange, or if you prefer, I will give you its value in money." Naboth answered him, "The Lord forbid that I should give you my ancestral heritage." Ahab went home disturbed and angry at the answer Naboth the Jezreelite had made to him. "I will not give you my ancestral heritage." Lying down on his bed, he turned away from food and would not eat. His wife Jezebel came to him and said to him, "Why are you so angry that you will not eat?" He answered her, "Because I spoke to Naboth and said to him, 'Sell me your vineyard, or if you prefer, I will give you a vineyard in exchange.' But he refused to let me have his vineyard." His wife Jezebel said to him, "O fine ruler over Israel, you are indeed. Get up, eat and be cheerful. I will obtain the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreel for you." So she wrote letters in Ahab's name, and having sealed them with his seal, sent them to the elders and to the nobles who lived in the same city with Naboth. This is what she wrote in the letter. Proclaim a fast and set Naboth as the head of the people. Next, get 2 scoundrels to face him and accuse him of having cursed God and king. Then take him out and stone him to death. His fellow citizens, the elders and nobles who dwelt in his city, did as Jezebel had ordered them to in writing through the letters she had sent them. They proclaimed a fast and placed Naboth at the head of the people. 2 scoundrels came in and confronted him with the accusation. Naboth had cursed God and king. And they led him out of the city and stoned him to death. Then they sent the information to Jezebel that Naboth had been stoned to death. When Jezebel learned that Naboth had been stoned to death, she said to Ahab, "Go and take possession of the vineyard of Naboth that he refused to sell you, because Naboth is not alive but dead." On hearing that Naboth was dead, Ahab started off on his way down to the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite to take possession of it. The word of the Lord. Our response: Lord, listen to my groaning. Hearken to my words, O Lord, attend to my sighing. Heed my call for help, my King and my God. Lord, listen to my groaning. At dawn I bring my plea expectantly before you. For you, O God, delight not in the wickedness, nor evil men remains with you. The arrogant way not stand in your sight. Lord, listen to my groaning. You hate all evildoers. You destroy all who speak falsehood. The bloodthirsty and the deceitful the Lord abhors. Lord, listen to my groaning. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, offer no resistance to the one who is evil. Whenever someone strikes you on your right cheek, turn the other one to him as well. If anyone wants to go to the law with you over your tunic, hand him over your cloak as well. Should anyone press you into service for 1 mile, go with him for 2. Give to the one who asks of you, and do not turn your back on the one who wants to borrow." The Gospel of the Lord. Who would think we would be so excited about coming to Mass at 7 o'clock on June 15th, the middle of June? But when something is taken away, I think it enables us to reflect on how important that something is, which in this case was the reception of the Eucharist. If you listened to the Mass yesterday, Father Ronnie beautifully talked about the gift of the Eucharist, and one of the things that he likened it to is the togetherness of a meal. And you can have a meal at the dining room table all by yourself, and the food is there, and the spirit of the others is there, but the others aren't there, and there's something missing. And I think that's what all of us were experiencing these past 3 months. It wasn't that we were not only not receiving the Eucharist, the greatest gift that we have as Catholics, but the rest of the family was also not physically present in our lives. The family that is gathered here this morning, the family that spiritually means so much to us. And I felt that very much myself. I tend to be, and I think you would agree, an outgoing person. And when I'm isolated in the rectory, my life is just not the same. It's very difficult. And to come over here each morning, and I had the gift of being able to receive the Eucharist, but to come over here at the morning and say Mass at the altar and have this iPad in front of me on the altar to an empty church, the family was missing. And it's a great gift, and I was honored and blessed to be able to say Mass here in the church or at home on Thursdays, but it wasn't the same. The Eucharist was the same that I was receiving, but we are community people. Jesus himself, right from the very moment he started preaching, preached in terms of one another. where two or three are gathered. And when that two or three was taken away from us, we all felt it. There was an anxiety, I think, that built up in many of us, a certain isolation that we were struggling with. And we normally, when we're having difficult times, we can come here and be nourished by each other, whether it's sickness or the loss of a job. And we were without that. So today is a great day. It's a Monday, it's June 15th, but it's the first day we're back as family here in this church, and hopefully the first of many. And so I thank you for coming out. You were a tremendous gift to me this morning. I know the 8 o'clock will be for Monsignor, and also this evening's Novena Mass that Father Ronnie will be saying. We weren't sure how many were going to be here, and the same with the weekend. If the restrictions still hold in terms of numbers, the weekend is going to be a little bit of a struggle. But game plan right now, if you were to go downstairs, there's water and wine, everything's set. If this had been an overflow crowd this morning, Father Ronnie would be saying Mass down in the auditorium, as we are up here, on the very altar that we used to use back in the 70s. We took it out, refurbished it, and it's all set to go. And if on Sunday we need more than that, we'll be on the front lawn, hopefully in sunshine. God bless you. Aware of the needs that we have this morning, let's start with our prayers. For our Holy Father, that He may continue to lead us in our faith, particularly during these troubled times, we pray to the Lord. For those who govern us, that they may be filled with the spirit of life time he was betrayed and entered willingly into his passion, he took bread and giving you thanks, he broke it and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take this, all of you, and eat of it, for this is my body, which will be given up for you." In a similar way, when supper was ended, he took the chalice and once more giving thanks, he gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take this, all of you, and drink from it, for this is the chalice of my blood, the blood of the new and eternal covenant, which will be poured out for you and for many for the forgiveness of sins. Do this in memory of me." The mystery of faith. When we eat this bread and drink this cup, we proclaim your death, O Lord, until you come again. Therefore, as we celebrate the memorial of his death and resurrection, we offer you, Father, the bread of life and the chalice of salvation, giving thanks that you have held us worthy to be in your presence and minister to you. Humbly we pray that partaking of the body and blood of Christ, we may be gathered into one by the Holy Spirit. Remember, Lord, your church spread throughout the world and bring her to the fullness of charity, together with Francis, our Pope, Joseph,